Hi, I'm Elias. I'm part of the Youth Action Committee for the Schizophrenia Society of Canada, and this is my mom.
Hi, I'm Trish.
So today we're going to talk about having conversations about cannabis, and we've had a few of those in our life, eh?
We have
Yeah,
good ones and not so good ones.
it's been a learning experience.
Yes.
So I remember like the first one that we had was when you found some of my pot in like the laundry. So it was in my pants and then I went through the dryer and then you kind of like sat me down and like from what I remember of it, you just kind of said like, "Oh, we know this is yours. Like we found it. Just kind of be safe."
Yeah, I don't remember that. I do remember it was a bit of a shock, and other family members of mine smoke pot, but I thought you were a little young, but
Hmm.
didn't want to alienate, so yeah, tried to keep it calm.
Yeah, I know I was like really quiet during that whole conversation. I just kind of sat there and I didn't know what to do and it was felt kind of awkward. I didn't know what to say or like
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, it is pretty awkward because you can't really jump down your throat because, well, when you've done it before anyway, as
Mhm.
I have in my younger days, it's hard to blame somebody for doing it themselves.
Mhm.
So you kind of try and say, well, maybe it's not the best thing to do.
Yeah, and I know like we didn't know much about like the effects, like what could happen or
Yeah,
anything like that.
no, it didn't. I mean, and especially now, it's so much stronger. It's so much different now than when it
Mhm.
was when I was a kid, like a
Yeah.
million years ago.
And
It's
I know
not.
in like the time leading up to my episode of psychosis, it was like it became harder and harder to have those conversations. 'Cause I know I got like really entrenched in my
It
worldview
did.
and
It did.
yeah,
Yeah, you were
yeah,
very defensive about it, about the whole thing, and yeah, you didn't believe that there was anything that that anything could be going wrong,
hmm,
even though school wasn't working very well, and you'd spend a lot of time in bed. Things in your
yeah,
life didn't seem to be going very well, but yeah,
yeah,
it's hard.
yeah. I know. Like at that point, it felt like the only thing I had. Like I know you guys were always there for me, but it was tough, and it was like the one thing I kind of went to cope with everything.
Yeah.
What you learn from those conversations, like from the good, the bad, and the ugly, so to speak.
Um, you really, I mean, there are times when you just get so angry, like, just listen to me. You're like, kid, you should be listening. But
Yeah.
when you're, yeah, I mean, you're old enough to make up your own mind, and there's not much I can do about it. So the only thing that you can do is be there and be open and try to explain that that definitely isn't doing you any good. I do remember when I broke your bong, though.
Ooh, I was pretty mad about that.
Oh man, yeah,
Yeah.
that wasn't good.
Yeah. So I
Yeah,
know there's a lot more resources out there nowadays about like talking about cannabis too.
I
And
know, but I think like once you get like I don't know. I'm speaking for you, but it seemed
mhm.
like your friends, you had your circle of friends sort of were people that smoked cannabis and people that enjoyed it and people that school wasn't that important really. So once you get stuck or once you're in that, it, even though you can explain that these things are really not good for you, it's very hard to for the person who's doing cannabis to sort of back off and say no, that I maybe you're right
Mhm.
until yeah.
Yeah. And I know like one of the things that I really appreciated was that like I did have like freedom to kind of experiment, so to speak. Like there was a lot of tension at some points, and like especially when I was still at home, like it got rough. But then once I
Yeah.
was like out of the home, like you guys kind of trusted me enough to like sort things out, and then when things got bad, you were there for me.
Yeah, yeah. It's I think the hardest part as a parent is just to let go a little bit. You have to let go, although it almost kills you sometimes to let go like that, because what do? You can't stop them. You can't even, like when you were 18, that
Mm-hmm.
you have absolutely no rights. I can't make you do anything at all. So you just
Yeah.
gotta be there and sit and hope and listen.
Yeah. I mean, that's part of like growing up, right? Like I
Mm.
went from being a kid to having full-fledged adult privileges, and I didn't
Yeah.
always make the best decisions with them, but
Well,
like,
nobody really does, but yeah. And in the end, you did listen, but you had a lot of help too, not just
mm-hmm.
us. You had some really good, a lot of help. With your psychiatrist, with social workers.
Mm-hmm.
With the first episode.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, like all throughout Ontario, pretty much.
Mhm.
Like it's part of EPI programs. That one,
Yeah.
first one in Ottawa, On Track, was really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
They helped me a lot too.
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's part of it too, because I know, like, I didn't always just have conversations with you guys either. Like, you encouraged me to go to like counseling, and
Yeah.
like you connected with me with some like therapists and like different people I could talk to, and yeah.
Yeah. But it's also trying to get you off the internet. There's people out there that say,
Mm-hmm.
no, there's nothing wrong with it. Yeah. Fake news. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, because it it does have like dangers. Like, it's one of the substances that people that a lot of people get like checked into like rehab centers for nowadays.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like back then I didn't think like you could get addicted to cannabis or whatever, however you define like addiction or whatever, but
Yeah.
I didn't think it could cause problems. Like all this stuff I was reading was like, oh, this is like a miracle drug. It's like it cures depression, it cures anxiety, it cures everything under the sun. Just take it, you'll be fine.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
think in certain doses and certain uses, yeah, it is a wonder drug, but it's not for someone that's in high school, unsupervised. It's hard. I mean, yeah,
Yeah, it was an unregulated market back then too, so
yeah,
couldn't
yeah.
do any like harm reduction, like, oh, like stay away from like the high THC, or and then nowadays there's stuff like shatter and
I don't even
um,
know.
oils. Yeah, yeah, been out of the scene for a little bit, but
A long time.
yeah, I know at work like there's a lot of like there's a lot of use of really high potency cannabis.
It's pretty scary actually,
Yeah.
because there still is all that stuff on the internet that says no, it's fine for you, and a lot of people that have been smoking for a long time, they're used to it,
Mm-hmm.
but they don't have young brains anymore. So like young brains it's really bad. It's really really bad for them. I don't know if I'm making sense, but
Yeah, yeah. I mean, like
but
there
it's
are dangers.
very hard to convince someone that doesn't want to hear about it.
Yeah, and I think the reason like our relationship kind of like was maintained is because like you didn't try and convince me really. Like you made it known that like it
But you're probably the
wasn't
hardest
good.
person in the whole wide world to convince anything.
I mean, like people like are like that. Like
Yeah.
yeah, and like I found like your support in like kind of listening and connecting me to people, and like giving me space as well was really helpful, because
Yeah.
like that want to like overbearingly tell people what to do isn't always effective either.
No, no, it's not effective. But there are times when you just feel like, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, just listen. Just do what I tell you to do. So yeah, you do. I mean, I'm pretty sure we must have said that at some point as well. But then you back off because it's just so frustrating when you won't listen or you can't listen or
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah, and I know you did a lot of listening to me. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, just kind of like trying to figure out what's going on and like what you can do and how it could kind of like keep the peace.
Yeah, keep the peace and try and get you through high school.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, finish it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know once I was like outside, like out of like the immediate environment, like it became a lot easier. Like when I came home for like reading weeks and stuff, breaks, like there was a lot less tension because there wasn't the constant like, are you smoking? Like, you need to stop this. Like,
Yeah, because yeah. But you were doing things. There was a point in sort of in high school, in grade 11, 12, then when nothing was happening. Like school wasn't working either, right?
mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that was when it was the hardest to sort of get you out of bed and get you. Yeah.
Yeah, skipping classes like no tomorrow.
Yeah, but you had some good teachers too, because I used to talk to your teachers and they would help out too.
Yeah, I know my truancy officer of all people was a really good resource, and she kind of like talked to me about like cannabis too, and just kind of like laid out like, oh, like it's like important to go to school. Like I understand you don't want to go all the time. Like how can we get you to like maybe skip 5 classes a week? I think that was my agreement with her. It was like, okay, I can skip 5 classes a week.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then Miss Forrest.
Yeah, she was great.
She was good. The guidance counselor.
Really good. Yeah.
Yeah.
She helped me a lot too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and she really listened too. I feel like listening is so important.
Listening is very important. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but hard to do all the time.
Definitely. Definitely. Hard to step back and let you make the mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
Or make the statement say, that's not true. Oh, maybe you're right. Maybe you're right.
Yeah.
But
So, if you had to like give one piece of advice about like what you've learned about how to talk about cannabis use, what would you say?
I guess, really just listening. You can say how it's affecting, how you see it's affecting you or the other person, but listening to how they feel is very important, because I think if you don't listen, they're not going to talk. If you don't talk, you never get out of it. So I guess listening is the most important.
Mm-hmm.
Backing off.
Yeah.
Back off. Don't bring your I guess biases. Don't bring your thoughts that this is just really wrong and you have to stop. Just try and back them up to stop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Thanks, Mom.
Is it?
Yeah.
All right.
Awesome.